Growing up, I always felt the need to satisfy my parents in any way possible. One of my older brothers always rebelled. I was always involved with the drugs and alcohol and the law, always in trouble in school, and I just felt the need to satisfy my parents so that they wouldn't have to worry about me. And any way possible if I could, I would always get good grades. I would be involved in organizations and sports, as many as I could possibly do. That's where I started to become a people pleaser, and everything that I did, I tried to satisfy people and make them happy and make them like me. I remember one time in middle school, or a lot of times in middle school, kids would ask me what my favorite music was, and I would say my favorite music was according to what theirs was. So if they'd be like, oh, I like country, I'd be like, oh, I like country too, even though I've never heard it. So it was definitely something that I didn't know who I was. I was the girl who was different people. And this was throughout middle school and high school, I spent hours getting good grades and hours climbing that ladder of leadership with the organizations that I was involved with, hours impressing guys and girls. Came to a point where I idolized myself. I felt like I needed to be praised with all the things that I did, and at the same time I wanted to make everyone happy, and I tried anything, like, in every way possible to please people. In middle school, there were two kids that would always pick on me because of my skin color, and since then I've always dealt with self-image issues. I've always been upset that I was the color I was, and I would always be angry at God and ask him why am I like this. I felt so unworthy. I felt lower than everyone else. Even throughout high school and throughout part of college, it was something that I struggled with a lot. During high school, I was involved in relationships and fell into a lot of temptation. I always tended to put my identity in the boys that I would date and make them my idol. So at the same time as I'm trying to satisfy everyone and make my parents happy and make my friends happy, make my boyfriend happy, I put my identity in everything else, and I never really stopped and thought about who I was and what I wanted and why I was living. I went through a point where I was depressed. I didn't know who I was. I didn't have anyone. I wasn't dating anyone, so I felt alone. I grew up in a Catholic home, but it was more of going to church every Sunday, and it was a ritual, more like I have to go Sundays or you'll go to hell. So I never knew what a relationship with Christ was like. And throughout this depression, I felt myself, I called out and prayed a lot. I didn't know how to pray, and so I just talked to God, and this depression lasted for about a year. Thoughts of committing suicide were going through my head over and over again. Going to college, I fell a lot into drunkenness my first year, and kept putting my identity in people and pleasing people as much as I could. The first time that I was introduced to Christianity was this past January. I was invited to Denver Christmas conference by one of my sorority sisters, and this conference I felt Christ calling me, and I felt like he was speaking to me directly, and he was telling me that he's always been there, and I've just been so blind and so caught up in all of these things that I put my identity in, that I struggled with. I realized that what he wanted me what he wanted me to do was to have a relationship with him and to experience his love. And it was one of the best feelings, because all that emptiness from the depression and from everything else just filled with love, and I was happy. I was purely like happy. I started to get involved with Bible studies and started going to church with one of my sorority sisters, and I met great people. I learned so much. I learned how to pray. I learned how to read a Bible, how to study a Bible. I learned how important it was to have that relationship with Christ, and all the things that I put first before I received Christ now came second for what Christ did for me. It's been the best thing that's happened in my life, and I love it. My name is Marisela Valdez.